How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Now, it's been a little while. I haven't been making very many videos lately, and it's because I've been taking a much-needed break. This year has been a very crazy year for YouTube. A lot has happened, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, some of which you may have noticed. I'm going to go into detail about, just the history of my channel, the things that have happened this year, and my plans that I have for the channel going forward, because I'm going to have to make a couple of big changes here in this upcoming year, and I just want to go into all that with you guys. So this video is going to be pretty relaxed. I'm going to have some gameplay, just random gameplay in the background, and I'm just going to sit. This video isn't scripted or anything. It's just going to be the thoughts off the top of my head, and just give you guys a bit of an update and a behind the scenes of what's been going on this past year. So I started this channel clear back in 2016, and it was actually just a side channel. I never expected this to turn into anything. Me and my friends were doing like a comedy sketch gaming channel, and it didn't really pan out. We did it for about 6 months or so, maybe longer, and it just never turned into anything, but I didn't want to give up on the YouTube dream. So I started this channel. It was just a Star Wars Battlefront kill streak channel, and it started to get popular. I played a part in popularizing kill streak videos for Battlefront. It wasn't much for the time, but I was getting thousands of views, upwards of like 20 to 30 to sometimes even 100,000 plus views, which was nuts to me. Like I'd never thought that, one, I was good enough at a video game that people would want to watch it, but it caught on and more people started to subscribe, and then that transitioned into me covering Battlefront 2 in 2017. And then I became just a Battlefront channel. And then once they announced that they were no longer supporting Battlefront 2, I had the choice of, do I adapt and do I move on to cover other video games the same way that I covered Battlefront? Or do I just stick with Star Wars like every other Battlefront channel out there and just wither up and die? And I made that big decision, and I made the jump. Everyone told me I was insane and they didn't think I could do it, but I did. I covered other games, I had success, and I was able to break free from Battlefront when everyone in my community, like all the comments and my family members and basically everyone, told me it was a bad idea. But I was able to do it. Which brings me to the next big leap that I decided to make, which was I wanted to go full-time into YouTube. I had a hospital job, it was a desk job, and it sucked. I basically just answered phone calls and dealt with family members all day, and it was awful. And I was like, well, I'm doing YouTube on the side, and if I invest all my time and effort into YouTube, I know I can make it work. And yet again, everyone told me I was insane. My coworkers doubted me, my family members doubted me. Nobody really believed in me. And I knew if I invested all my time and effort into my channel, that extra time and resources that I was putting into it, I could make it work. And I did. And I think it's because I removed that safety net of having my main job. Once I got rid of that and I knew YouTube was make or break, I think that's what pushed me to the next level. Which brings me to now. Like I've made a bunch of changes and I've taken a lot of big gambles over the years, and now we're to the point where I need to make another big change. And this big change is I'm going to have to make this an official business, and I'm going to have to hire employees. And to start with that, I'm going to hire my best friend Cookie, who was on the channel in the past. Some of you guys might know him, but the plan is to hire him as an editor. This year has been nuts. There was a couple months, it was about 3 months, where I only had about 2 days off total in 3 months, and I was working 12 plus hours a day. And normally that's how it goes every year. When new games come out in the fall, that's my busy time of the year. That's when I make most of my money for the entirety of the entire year. So I expect to be busy, but just doing this as one person now has gotten it's too much. Going 3 months without any days off, going from Starfield to Cyberpunk DLC to Assassin's Creed Mirage to Lords of the Fallen to Spider-Man 2, and working with sponsorships, it was just so much work that I had a couple mental breakdowns, and it was just way too much. So I've come to the decision that like I have to have an editor and I need help. Just to free up some more of my own time so I can go to the gym or see my family or hang out with friends. I haven't worked out in months because I've been so busy. I've put on a couple pounds and I just haven't had time to do anything. And I've just been so busy, it's affected both my physical and mental health. So having an editor will hopefully free up a lot more of my time so I can, get back to streaming and stuff. I haven't streamed in months and I kind of miss that. I miss having a sense of community. But outside of just being busy this year for me on my channel was a lot of firsts. It took me up until about 175,000 subscribers to finally get the recognition and get to experience a lot of things that smaller channels than me get way sooner than me. Because no one tells you how to do any of this stuff. No one tells you how to find sponsorships or how to get review copies of video games or how to talk to companies. And I've seen channels with like 50,000 subscribers getting to fly out to companies to like play games early, or they get review codes. And I've always been like, well, what the hell? I have 100,000 subs and I cover this game. Why isn't this company reaching out to me? And I never really understood that process. And I still kind of don't. But this year, I've been able to get review codes for at least 3 or 4 different games now. Now I'm working with a talent agency and I get sponsors coming in, and having all this stuff happen, like review codes, talking to companies, emailing companies, doing the whole sponsorship thing, it's a whole nother level to YouTube I didn't get to experience up until this year. And it can be extremely overwhelming because there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes with YouTubers taking sponsorships that as a viewer you don't even think about. For example, when you work with sponsors, normally they have deadlines, and sometimes depending on the sponsorship, you can get this deadline like a whole month to 2 months beforehand. And at the time, you're like, okay, I'll have a video done in November and I'll have this sponsorship in it. Well, with the type of content that I make, and I do tips and tricks and I go from game to game, the algorithm fluctuates all the time. So I could be at the peak views and I'm getting like 100,000 views and the sponsorship's super happy. Or there could be nothing going on and it's a little bit of a dead period. Or maybe I just wanted to take a couple days off. Well, if a sponsorship wants to have a video and it has to be done in that week and I don't have any videos planned, then that kind of puts me in a really hard spot where I have to make a video, but I can't guarantee it's going to get viewed because I'm not currently in the algorithm and there's no games out, and it could be very stressful at times. Even if it's just a 30-second to 60-second long sponsorship, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into making those little sponsorship segments. And for someone that didn't know anything about that up until recently, it can be a bit of a learning experience. But as we're on the topic of sponsors and sponsorships for the channel, this video isn't sponsored per se, but I do want to say that going forward in the future, you might see me doing a couple sponsorships with blastersformasters.com. Now, I reached out to them because I saw their website, and obviously I'm a huge nerd when it comes to collecting just video game props and stuff. And they actually sent me this Ace of Spades exotic hand cannon from Destiny, which is freaking awesome. So yeah, and they just have tons. I mean, it's got moving parts and everything, and it turned out great. I love this thing. And if you use code SwanyPlaysGames at checkout, you can get 10% off of any purchase, which is pretty cool for you guys. They have tons of different things on their website. They have Halo stuff and Star Wars stuff and Destiny and Apex. And the odds are if there's a video game and they have like cool weapons, they probably have them at blastersformasters.com. So going forward this year, you're probably going to see a couple videos sponsored by these guys because it's a website that I use myself personally, and it's related to a lot of the type of content that I make, so I'm super excited about this partnership going forward. But now I want to do a little bit of a segue into the type of content that I make for the channel and how I'm going to make some changes. So the past year or two, I've done just reviews and tips and tricks and ranking videos and how-to guides and that kind of stuff, and that has allowed me to go from game to game, and that keeps it fresh for me, and I think that keeps it fresh for the audience, and it's just a lot more fun for me to cover different games because that allows me to play different games versus just sticking with one game on my channel. I did that with Battlefront and I didn't like it because then I'm reliant on one specific game. So I was able to branch out from that and cover a wide variety of games, and I like the type of content that I make now. I really do. I really enjoy when I make a guide video or tips and tricks video, and somebody comments and they're like, hey, I was stuck on this boss fight for 3 hours and you helped me out and you helped me get past that. I love when I get those type of comments. That's what makes this job so fun to me, and that's why I love making the type of content that I've been doing for the past couple years now. But the new issue with the type of content that I make is that there is a lot of competition now, which I'm all for competition. Competition helps people improve. It helps me improve. I'm all for competition. But the problem is that with the past year or so, there are so many content creators now, streamers, YouTubers, TikTokers. So the way it worked before is if you were lucky, a company would reach out to you and they would offer you a review code so you could make content for the game leading up to the game's release. Well, now companies like to send out multiple waves of review codes, and they have creator programs, and there's literally like thousands of people all trying to get early review codes, and the companies have to cipher through all these channels and decide which ones get codes. So when I get a review code, that's great. But if I don't get a review code, I'm essentially basically just screwed. And that means that I have to get the game as soon as physically possible, and then I don't get to sleep for like a week straight because I have to play the game, record hundreds of hours of footage, and then I have to edit the videos and get them out in a timely manner so that they actually get viewed. And with so many people getting review codes now, that if I don't get a review code, it kind of leaves me in the dust. And this might sound like a small complaint, but it really is make or break. Like, if you can get early access to a game and you can make 4 or 5 videos before the game even releases, that is such a huge advantage on YouTube. That's basically the difference of hundreds of thousands to millions of views. And that is just game changing for the type of content that I make. And like I said, companies like to send out multiple waves of review codes. So I've worked with companies directly, and I've had direct email communication with a company, and they're like, hey, we're going to send you a review code. And then they sent out review codes, and then they ghosted me for 2 weeks and then gave me a review code on the day of launch, which does not help me at all. Like, if I get a review copy the day that the game comes out, that doesn't help my channel in any way, shape, or form. So what companies have done is they send out the first wave of review codes, which is for like the media and big YouTube channels, and then they send out a second wave for people that do live streams and smaller channels and stuff. And if you get clumped into that live streamer category where they give you the review code like the day of, which, you know, that makes sense for live streamers because they play the game during their live stream. But for a channel like me, where I make tips and tricks and I have to have videos done the week of the game's launch, if I don't get an early review code, I'm basically screwed. So what has happened is my channel has become reliant on these companies, and it's completely out of my hands, and my channel is 100% at the mercy of if a company wants to give me a code 2 weeks early or not. If they do, great. My life's easy. I get to make videos, I get to relax, I get to actually enjoy the game. But if I don't get the code, then I don't sleep for a week, I have to speed run the game, I don't get to enjoy it, and I'm basically in panic mode for an entire week. And because of this, it's kind of turned my channel into something that I don't want it to be. I don't want to be reliant on other people. The whole reason I got into YouTube is that I could be my own boss. I could make videos on topics that I enjoyed. And this whole career that I've made for myself, it's supposed to be fun. Like, if it's not fun, it's no different than any other job. So going forward, I want to change up how I do content. I still want to do tips and tricks and guides, and the types of videos that I've been making, I still want to make them because I enjoy making that type of content. But going forward, I'm going to be making new types of content. I want to do more long form type of videos that can be viewed at any time, that aren't reliant on getting review codes, and they aren't reliant on the algorithm. I want to make videos that can be viewed at any time and they're still relevant like an entire year from now. Like, for example, I want to make a video about the history of Star Wars Battlefront, or the significance of music in video games. And I just want to do like video essay type stuff. And I want to do more top 10s and more ranking videos and more of those type of videos that I used to do in the past that kind of got put on the back burner because I just haven't had the time. So for the future, I plan on making more of the same type of content, but I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to be as reliant on review codes, and I'm not going to try to rush things out the door. So instead of trying to push out quantity, I'm going to take my time, and instead of maybe 3 tips and tricks videos, I'll just have 1 really good tips and trick video. And like I said, I want to do more long form type of content, and hopefully with the help of Cookie as an editor, I can branch off and do other things, like finally make videos for my 2nd or 3rd channel. I want to make a new channel, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the future, and then hopefully I'll have enough time to get back into live streaming and stuff, because I really do miss live streaming, because a couple years ago I had a really dedicated community and everybody would come to my streams to hang out and we'd all play Star Wars Battlefront, and it was a good time. I would get upwards of 200 to all the way up to my record was like 2,500 viewers at one point. And in the past couple years, my live streams only hang out around 20 to 30 viewers tops, because people just came to my live streams to watch Star Wars Battlefront. And since that kind of died, you know, I don't have much of a viewer base for streaming anymore. But I do miss streaming, and I miss those of you that have been here since the very beginning that like my live streams and they like to hang out. So hopefully I can free up enough time to get back into live streaming, because I do miss live streaming. But those are the plans for the future. That's how my year went for 2023. It's been an absolutely crazy year, and this year coming forward, you know, hiring people and starting a business and making this into something bigger than what it is now is another huge jump for me, because I'm by no means rich. I don't make that much money off of YouTube. So me hiring someone and paying them as a full-time employee is a really big gamble on my part. But I've taken a lot of gambles in the past and they've paid off. This is the next gamble and the next investment I have to make on my channel. So hopefully you guys like what I have in store. Hopefully you guys check out my new types of videos that I'm going to make. And yeah, I guess I'll just have to wait and see. So thank you all for watching. If you're a new subscriber or if you've been here since the very beginning, I greatly appreciate you. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. And I hope you guys like what's to come in the future. And yeah, hopefully I see you guys in the next video.